Let's see this preview that they got going on.
Let me start by saying that I am borderline blown away by what I've seen from the Fable reboot so far.
DMC, right?
New Fable developer Playground Games already had my trust. This is a studio that has produced nothing but one open-world masterpiece after another, but after learning a lot more about what the team has in store for its resurrection of one of Xbox's biggest franchises, I'm even more bullish about where they're going with it.
Oh, you play from a kid to an adult? Okay.
Engine into a medieval British
you got that?
postcard. Combat is multi-layered. 1,000 NPC townsfolk are waiting to be romanced, co-parented with, divorced from, and landlorded over, and
let's go.
Chickens abound, just waiting to be
chicken chaser.
Alongside Fable's big coming out party at the
Can you fart though? That's the question. Can you fart? I
also spoke with game director Ralph Fulton about the choices the studio has made with this revival, so there's lots to discuss. But first, if you'll permit me, a quick Fable history lesson. Right out of the gate in the early 2000s, Fable was always fantastic, even if its early days on the original Xbox got a little extra scrutiny because its director at the time, legendary strategy game developer Peter Molyneux, made crazy promises about players planting acorns that would grow into full-size trees.
The Peter Molyneux.
The campaign.
The Peter Molyneux.
Lofty systemic boast never came to be. The game that Lionhead delivered was nevertheless a rich, textured, uniquely British fairy tale that players could meaningfully affect change in. Whether their good deeds manifested a literal halo.
How's the audio, guys? Can you hear?
Sheer evil caused actual horns to sprout from their skull, or they got married to a townsperson and lived a whole other life outside of the bigger picture quest within the world of Albion. Lionhead arguably perfected the formula in the Xbox 3.
Sounds good.
Adding a dog who'd be by your side throughout the story, and Fable 3 tweaked it further still while making the questionable in hindsight decision to move the timeline forward by 500 years, thereby changing the entire look and feel of Albion. And then Microsoft, well, they royally screwed the franchise up by trying to turn it into a 4v1 multiplayer game that cost the studio its entire existence.
Jesus.
Another day, and since then, has been dormant for over a decade. Enter Playground, who produced smash hit after smash hit in Microsoft's Forza Horizon driving series. Fulton told me that Playground was looking to expand and build a second team after Forza Horizon 3. Quote, "I don't remember who said the word Fable first, but as soon as I heard it, I was like, that has to be it. That fits so perfectly. It's a series that we adored here and still do." And the conversation went from there, and it went pretty fast. I think everybody felt, certainly I know the folks we spoke to on the Xbox side felt really strongly that if a studio were to start working on Fable to pick that up, it had to be a British studio. And the fact that we had this great working relationship, the fact that we were making this game, Forza Horizon, that was increasingly important and successful, and had this ambition to scale and to grow, it went pretty fast after that.
That's crazy.
The studio's adoration for the series shines through in the gameplay it's shown so far.
Oh god, ads. Where's a skip? Where's a skip? Let me skip.
There are hobs and balverines to slay, swords to wield, and spells to cast, sure. And the humor and British charm look to be there. Look no further than a chicken spell wearing off, reverting the target back to their original form, but still flapping their arms and clucking.
That's
or
great.
Chicken armor. You
Let's go.
the game as a child just like you did in the originals. But where Playground is winning serious points with Fable fans like me so far is in its commitment to the game within the game. The town management aspects baked into Fable's urban areas. You'll be able to buy property, literally all of it if you can come up with enough gold apparently, and become a beloved landlord or a loathed slumlord. Not to mention a kind boss or a horrible boss, should you purchase any businesses. You can also date and marry all of them, have kids with them, and should it come to it, get divorced. There are also
That's a lot of people
jobs
to marry.
partake in, like
What if you can marry every single
the
one?
new Fable breaks from
Commit the ultimate adultery.
morality. No longer will it be so black or white, Fulton told me. You won't manifest that halo or sprout those horns.
Okay.
Instead, individual people in each city or town will form their own opinion of you based on how you treat them. Meaning you could be a rich twat, in Fable's own words, while getting hailed as a saint in another one. Better still, one of my least favorite aspects of modern role-playing games, procedurally generated content and all of the generic medium it brings with it, is nowhere to be found in Fable. Instead, Fulton told me that every NPC is a unique, handmade, and fully voiced character. That is so refreshing these days that it gets me extra excited to talk to as many of them as I possibly can once I get a build of Fable in my hands.
I am kind of a little bit sad about
hero's story unique extends to the larger world
the evil and the good not like changing your appearance.
2023 Fable
That was pretty cool in Fable.
to Dave, a giant. It turns out that the whole setup for the new Fable isn't a Jack and the Beanstalk story. Instead, Dave is, quote, an egotistical gardener in a rural village who finds a magic growth formula. So you'll then have to decide how to deal with him. Will you spare him? Hopefully this means finding a way to return him to normal size and befriending him, or slay him, which will see his giga corpse splayed over a hill just outside of town for the rest of your campaign, negatively impacting surrounding home prices in the process.
That's cool.
So if Dave's foray into gigantism is merely a quest, perhaps that means this Fable isn't as much of a departure from the originals lore-wise as that video had led me to believe. In fact, I point-blank asked Fulton whether or not this is a true reboot or if this Fable is in some way connected to Lionhead's originals, and he had quite a telling answer for a supposed non-answer. He told me, quote, I'm going to avoid that question, Ryan, and I'll tell you why. We touch very lightly on story in the Dev Direct piece, but honestly, what we really wanted to do is come out and speak to the detail in the game and answer all those questions that people inevitably have about the game we haven't answered before. We're going to talk more about story later in the year, so I'm not going to say yes or no to that particular question just yet. What I would say is with this being a reboot, it felt really imperative for us to clear the space to tell a story that we want to tell within Albion, which is why this is...
Explain that by not having the character change based on the actions allows you to have a unique relationship with each NPC without having them having an immediate opinion of your base on your appearance. Yeah, I can see that. It's cool from like a gameplay like narrative, but it's just cool to see like your character look like he's like a Sith Lord. Like if you're really freaking evil.
The quintessentially British charm. Playground,
it was just kind of a cool mechanic.
Seems to understand the assignment here. And the studio, as I mentioned earlier, absolutely gets the benefit of the doubt from me on account of its impeccable track record since its inception. What then am I worried about? There is one thing that's a key part of Fable: combat. To be clear, I'm not in any way judging Fable's combat based on what we've seen so far.
Kind of looks like The Witcher.
I haven't played it for myself yet.
Looks very Witcher.
For as talented as Playground is, it's never made a game with combat before. It's not that all of the delightful town management and NPC
kind of moves like Geralt
suddenly means nothing if the combat doesn't deliver, but Fable will have a big problem if battling Balverines isn't a blast. Oh, and I suppose I'll be honest and share one actual disappointment with what I've seen of Fable so far. The fact that horses seem to be your only four-legged companions. After the big reveal was decidedly dog-free, I asked Fulton about the decision to ditch the dog, and he admitted, quote, there are some folks on the team that were relishing me getting this question because I cut it a while back. You know what? For development reasons, right? I don't need to go into any more detail than that, except to say there are a substantial number of people on the team who have yet to forgive me for that decision.
Oof.
Now, I know full well that game development is extremely difficult, and that Fulton probably has a very defensible reason for not moving forward with Fable 2's signature feature. It stung a little extra when he told me that Fable 2 was his favorite of Lionhead's original trilogy, but as a player, I'm still allowed to be bummed out by it. Here's hoping it's first on the new feature.
There's only...
sequel.
I have an opinion on this. Everything looks good, but there's missing something from what they're showing.
Optimistic about the new Fable. I've long felt that, particularly in Playground's hands, Fable has the highest ceiling in terms of game quality and finally delivering Xbox and, I guess, PlayStation, as it turns out, a PlayStation Studios-like Game of the Year award-contending single-player game of anything currently in Microsoft's massive first-party games portfolio. And though we don't yet have a specific release date to count down to, Playground is promising that we'll be playing it this fall, which basically means before November, since it would be patently stupid to try and relaunch this franchise after the better part of a decade in development, right up against the incoming game industry meteor known as Grand Theft Auto 6. Here's hoping that the new Fable lives up to its high potential.
My biggest complaint with what they've been showing, everything looks pretty good. Looks like, looks like Fable, looks pretty cool. Where's the stupid humor? You need to show me them farting. You need to show me weird, stupid accents and just like silliness and saying some out-of-pocket shit. And it's just like, to me, that's like part of Fable's identity, which I loved about every single Fable. It was just the stupidness of it. Because a lot of fantasy RPGs or fantasy things, the reason why personally I don't really get into them too much is they take themselves very, very seriously, and you have to know like a deep amount of lore and get it super into it. I need the stupid humor. Like I need that you can have a fart button. It's so stupid. He mentioned British humor being there. Maybe just lost in the yeah, they didn't show anything. That's the thing. They didn't show any stupidness other than him kicking the chicken and the chicken chases. The British humor is going to be fun. Yeah, I hope so. Hey, everything isn't for a true. Very true. But yeah, that's what made me like Fable. Like, I don't really like fantasy RPGs that much, but Fable was the one that was just like, you can just be a menace. And the characters are so dumb. It's just so silly. It's just like, but then it has this cool backstory of you growing up and stuff. And so I was like, it felt really cool, So as long as they keep the stupid humor, that has to be part of the Fable identity. If we're not doing stupid shit, then it doesn't feel like Fable, But Peter Molyneux be damned. We need the stupid shit. That makes Fable.